Today I'm going to be talking about 1984 by George Orwell. 1984 is a dystopian novel set in the future where there are three super world powers who are all in constant war with each other to dominate the world. And these powers are called Oceania, which is the continent that this story mainly takes place in. There is East Asia and Eurasia. And if I were to draw parallels of these fake, supercontinents and, reality, I would say that East Asia seems a lot like China. Eurasia seems a lot like Europe, Russia specifically. And Oceania seems a lot like the United States. A lot of people kind of suggest that these are the three largest world powers these days. So Oceania, and where the story is taking place, it's kind of like the whole United Kingdom. The main character is Winston Smith, and he's a member of the party, which functions to keep INGSOC, which is, what they call their government, their centralized authoritarian government, running. So he works for the Ministry of Truth, where his job is to revise archived documents like newspapers or whatever, and make sure that the archives are always in agreement or being very favorable to the current government, basically reflecting lies that look like, the party is doing great things. His job, in short, is to change or rewrite history. The leader of this government is a man called Big Brother. I can't remember if he had a name, actually. I can't remember if Orwell gave him a fake name or not. But Big Brother is the president. Since the creation of INGSOC, Big Brother acts like a set of eyes that are always peering in on party members. There also happens to be cameras all over the city and in apartments and spying on party members and on non-party members. And they refer to the non-party members as the proles, which is short for the proletariat. Over time, Winston develops a disdain for the party and a disdain for Big Brother alike, and he begins to question their worth to society. He becomes obsessed with the idea of a revolution across all of Oceania led by the proletariat. His lifestyle is restricted pretty much to just going to work, party activities, which includes things like sitting in a square room watching a video of party traitors and yelling at them and calling it the hate, and exercising in his home in front of a TV that monitors him, so the person who's leading the workout can see him. A woman who guides his workout routine on the TV can see him and tells him to exercise harder. He always needs to keep up appearances as a party member because everyone is spying on everyone. No one trusts anybody. And people who are deemed suspicious can get kidnapped by INGSOC's Gestapo or secret police who work for the Ministry of Love. Speaking of the Ministry of Love, I should explain all of the other ministries. The Ministry of Truth, the Ministry of Peace, the Ministry of Love, and the Ministry of Plenty. The Ministry of Truth is a department that Winston works under where they revise historical documents to better reflect the reputation of the party and all of its members. And, this, as well with other ministries, the name is deliberately misleading. The Ministry of Truth specializes in lies. The Ministry of Plenty oversees rationing and scarcity. The Ministry of Peace manages a perpetual war. And the Ministry of Love oversees torture and imprisonment. I'd like to take a moment to emphasize that George Orwell did not write 1984 as a criticism to communism, as many people have tried to claim. Instead, he criticizes tyranny and authoritarianism more than anything. Orwell says, "Every line of serious work that I've written since 1936 has been written directly or indirectly against totalitarianism and for democratic socialism." This is on the Wikipedia page for George Orwell. The editor writes, "Orwell became preoccupied with totalitarianism in the 1930s and gained knowledge of the rising political tyranny in Soviet Russia from leaked accounts that he read by disillusioned communists such as Boris Suvarin and Andrei Gide." He based many of the elements of Oceania's totalitarian state on Russia under the leadership of Joseph Stalin, and Germany actually under Adolf Hitler, including, a cult of personality, historical revisionism, repression of free speech, and the atmosphere of paranoia and fear. This is in quotes. In the aftermath of the September 11, 2001 attacks, the CIA built a torture program. Between 2002 and 2008, it held at least 119 Muslim men captive in secret, quote, black site prisons around the world and subjected them to abuses that many Americans rightly associate with foreign dictators, tyrants, and terrorists. The program was built largely by two contract psychologists, James Mitchell and Bruce Jessen. Neither had any experience as an interrogator, any knowledge of Al-Qaeda, or any science to justify their methods. The torture tactics they developed included chaining men to the ceiling, naked except for a diaper, in the dark with music blaring, sometimes for days on end, stuffing them for hours into, at times, insect-filled boxes the size of small dog crates or in the shape of coffins, and drowning them, just not to the point of death. Mitchell, Jessen, and the CIA called this torture enhanced interrogation and said it would produce unique, otherwise unobtainable intelligence that would save lives. It did not. Much like Room 101, many of these techniques relied on psychological vulnerability rather than straightforward physical violence. And these methods, they were not merely theoretical. Real people experienced them. One example was a man named Gul Rahman, an Afghan detainee who died in CIA custody after being subjected to harsh treatment at a secret prison. While Winston Smith is a fictional character, the psychological and physical techniques that Orwell imagined have been inflicted on real human beings with lasting consequences. This is a quote from somebody who was one of these torturers. "They taught us psychological methods to study the fears and weaknesses of a prisoner. Make him stand up, don't let him sleep, keep him naked and isolated, put rats and cockroaches in his cell, give him bad food, serve him dead animals, throw cold water on him, change the temperature." Still, according to this trainee, the US drew the line at harsher methods. The Americans didn't accept physical torture. Ultimately, Room 101 is frightening because nobody knows what awaits them until they enter the room. And Orwell understood that fear itself can be the weapon, and that understanding a person's deepest vulnerabilities can be more powerful than physical force alone. Whether in fiction or in real-world interrogation programs, the goal is often the same: to break the individual by exploiting what they fear most. Winston's encounter with the rats in Room 101 is not just, the climax of the novel. It is Orwell's warning about what happens when institutions learn how to weaponize fear.